Today's guest is Daoura, CEO of Pebblebee. Imagine being at the edge of an Icelandic volcano, heading back home, this is a tourist spot, but then realizing that you left behind your wallet, and then remembering that you make a technology that can actually solve this problem. That had to be an awesome feeling to see it play out in real time. This is the kind of story you're going to hear in full detail if you listen to this episode. But you'll also have information coming from someone who has over 40 patents on tracking technology to help protect the continued innovations that have allowed Pebblebee to make this affordable. So much so that it's even part of Costco. And the Costco membership price, chef's kiss. So you're going to want to listen to that, but also we dive into the ethics of the tracking technologies and what's being done to improve the security around them. This is a conversation you're going to want to listen to. And without further ado, Daoura of Pebblebee. Daniel, you're with me today, and I am absolutely grateful to have you here. I think there's going to be an interesting conversation and a treat for the listeners. How's the vibe today? You feeling great?
Feeling great. Thank you, Phil, for having me on the show. Excited.
Yeah, man. No, I think more than ever in a world like today, is it really important to know where your stuff is as we become a multi-device person. First of all, it's in the interest of these companies to have more than one device that we buy from them. So there's that, right? But then it's getting harder and harder to remember where we left our things. I know the other day I was holding my key and wondering where my keys were. The list goes on. Right. But your story in particular, which is where I think it's the perfect place to start, was really interesting. You went to an Icelandic volcano with the tech that you have and happened to accidentally leave your wallet by the volcano. And then went, wait a minute, my tech can help me find my wallet. Tell us the story.
That's right. Yes. So I was very fortunate. I'm just going to back up a little bit. I went to Norway, spent a couple weeks there, and then we finished our trip in Iceland, and it was me and my family, and we go there. And when I land, I'm so fascinated about the volcanoes and everything. And I was like, man, I can't believe I missed out on the volcano, which happened a year or so ago. And I was like praying, I hope to God that maybe this volcano will erupt while I'm here, and my wife is like, no, absolutely not. We don't want a volcano here. We want to go back home. I said, no, it'll be fine. And so I was like praying, and we kept on going on with everything. And then when we came back to Reykjavik, which is the city center, downtown, essentially the capital, we got to the hotel or the Airbnb and the building started shaking. And we were like, what's going on? What's happening? I'm like, drop your bags. Let's get out of here. And so we get out and go to the store and we're like, what's going on? And they said that this is normal. Volcanoes erupt here, once every other year or so, or at least in the last couple of years. And so we got a little excited and I thought, okay, it looks like maybe there's going to be a volcano that's going to erupt. So this was about 3 or 4 days before, maybe 5 days before we were going to leave. And the next day we were going to leave. So the last day we had done a spa, etc. And then on my way back to the Airbnb, we saw this plume of smoke, in the far distance. And I thought to myself, could this be true? Did the volcano just erupt? So it did. And so I dropped off my kids and my wife, except for my eldest. She's 15 years old and she is very adventurous and wanted to go. So we drove to nowhere because we didn't know where the volcano was. Nobody had known. There's no reports on it. But we just kind of followed the plume and figured out a way where we stopped in a spot where there were several folks that were sort of guides, that were helping, or they actually wanted to go, and reporters, etc., cameras, and drones, etc. So we thought, okay, we'll start talking to people and we'll figure out a way. So we had to trek our own way. This is initially, probably, I'd say 75% of it has already been trekked because of the previous volcanoes. But after that, it was new territory. We had gotten there and it's just a great feeling. The earth is rumbling. It's just shaking the whole entire time. But you don't see the volcano yet because there was a hill. And so it's rumbling. We're feeling it, and we can hear the rumble, and we can smell the sulfur. And just over the bluff, as we get up, I see it first, and it was just a rush, man. It's just like the heat hits you in the face. My daughter's behind me. I'm just so excited to share this moment with her. And there's no way I can explain it, really. You have to be there to feel it, especially since it had just been about 3-4 hours when it had erupted. So it's just a fissure, and it was just a big line that you can see this lava flowing out of. It's a fissure. It didn't look like a volcano, And we got there, and it's just the earth is rumbling, and I look at my daughter, and like tears, dropping from her eyes. Like she's like just awestruck, and I'm even more awestruck seeing her than the volcano, And anyway, long story short, we spent a couple of hours, or maybe an hour actually, not even. Yeah, what am I saying? It's probably an hour. And then the rescue team comes and like, you guys got to get out of here right now. It's toxic. Right. It's not healthy. You need to get out. It's very dangerous. And so they, kick us all out, and we had to hike back. And it was like a 3-4 hour trek. I mean, it's very hard. And on the way back, it was so cloudy and foggy. We ended up going a totally different direction. And then I had to use GPS, and I figured my way back. So that's where I ended up dropping my jacket because it was hot. I had my jacket in my wallet. This is my jacket. And I was holding it on my side in a bag. So my jacket must have fallen. It was a vest. And I got to the car probably around midnight. Yeah. Maybe, we were so tired, exhausted. And the Tesla car, luckily we had it synced up with my phone. So it actually opened the door. But the key, the little Tesla card key, was in my wallet. So luckily, I opened up the app, found out that last known location was that location where we got lost. So I asked rescue, and they're like, nope, absolutely not. It's too dangerous. You can't go. And after an hour waiting, then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go because I'm traveling tomorrow. I need all my stuff. So I ended up hiking all the way up. Again. And then after about 2.5-3 hours, got to the location, couldn't find it. Unfortunately, I looked for about maybe 10-15 minutes because it tells you the last location, but you got to remember, it was like 3 a.m, right? It was dark. It was not 100% dark, but it was quite dark. And you couldn't find it. So then the rescue team shows up and they're like, you guys, you should not be here. You got to go right now. So they gave me the ride back down. I said, guys, please, I know it's right here somewhere. I know it's here. I have a tracker. I know it's here somewhere. Just, can you come back and check for it? They're like, yes. So I get to the Airbnb by 4 a.m. or so, 4:30. And by around 4:45, I get a text message. We found your wallet. Exactly where you told us where it was. Come back to the station tomorrow, pick it up. And so I came back and picked it up. I felt so embarrassed on my way back to the Airbnb because I was like, I have a company that helps people find and track their things and items and also prevents them from losing it. And so what happened was I have focus mode on after 10 p.m. Yeah, so I don't get notifications.
Same.
so if I didn't have that, I would have got the notification on my Apple Watch, and I would have said, "Oh, 10 minutes ago I left it behind," and I would have went and grabbed it. But it was a situation, so I felt embarrassed. But then when I got that text message, I was so proud. So definitely a proud moment there.
Yeah, no. And the most natural question that comes from that is, did you speak to them about the fact that this was your technology, the search and rescue team?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact,
what was that like? Yeah.
They loved it. They first of all, they didn't know that it comes in a form factor that is a thin form factor. And that's one thing that Pebblebee does is we have different form factors. And so they love that fact. They love the fact that we also integrate seamlessly with Apple Find My, but we're also rechargeable. So very good for the environment, eco-friendly. It's also very better user experience for the customer because instead of having to order a battery and then try to open it, replace it, et cetera, and then chuck that battery in the garbage, if you think about how many AirTags are sold every year, it's about 200,000 pounds of lithium batteries in the landfill, But furthermore, think about it. You're traveling, etc. You don't have time to go and buy a button battery. Like, you don't know. You just plug it in USB-C and then you're good, for a year. So that's one thing that we do. And then, of course, we're also launching with Google Find My Device. So soon you'll have one SKU, one device, especially for retail, in terms of overhead and reducing overhead and improving experiences, that you have one device that could be either Find My Device on Google or Apple Find My. And we're the only company in the world that can do this today.
I was going to say, I was looking at my notes and I saw that you had struck a partnership with Google, which is big in terms of scale.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
That's massive. I mean,
it is massive.
It's the only other product outside of Apple that really has that kind of scale that can really deliver. And I was going to ask, like, what's the difference between AirTag? But you answered it before I even got there. And I'm so glad that you said that, because the amount of people who have just these dead AirTags laying around because they don't want to go through the trouble. It's like, I can see why a major company, like a major enterprise, doesn't want to do it because they want to bring in the profits instead of. But like, then
there are reasons. there are their own reasons. I don't want to go there, but yes, there are reasons. And honestly, we've made that choice about 6-7 years ago to always have rechargeable. Rechargeability is important for us, and so we've always made that choice. And honestly, if you think about it, obviously Apple has the numbers, right? The millions of devices out there. So their network is very strong. Same as Google. Android's network is very strong. And what we're doing now with unwanted tracking, so preventing unwanted tracking and reducing rogue devices, and then also providing rogue tag detection, is it's becoming the safest tracking solution in the world. Because if it's so strong that it works, that it helps you track your items if someone walks by somewhere on the other side of the globe, that means that the system is working. That means that that person can also be notified that they're being tracked. You see what I'm saying? It's a catch-22. So really, essentially, in order for this system to work so well, it means it's going to be super safe, especially with the new protocols that we're helping Google and Apple and aiding them on delivering this new protocol, which is through IETF, which is a standardized protocol that's going to it's going to be available to the market soon. And that essentially unites both Apple and Google, so that, hey, if you have an Android phone, it's going to tell you that an AirTag is tracking you, if it's a rogue AirTag tracking you. And if you have an iOS phone, it's going to tell you if there's a rogue Google Finder device, that you're being tracked with. So that's going to be the safest network, as opposed to getting a cellular device. Yeah, that's independent. You can't. There's no way that I'm going to know that someone's tracking me with a cellular device, right? So this is even safer using the Apple and Google framework.
Now, I think any great utility is going to be brand agnostic in terms of how it's going to serve the consumer base. And I think you're doing it exactly the right way. And, you have, like, if I remember reading correctly, you have so many patents, probably over 40 in terms of tracking technology. Like, does this come from your days with working with Boeing, or even earlier than that? Has it just always been a passion, just that kind of technology for you?
Yeah, it does actually. It started off at Boeing, but we do have, very, very valuable IP portfolio of 50 plus issued patents, which I believe is essential for market competition. Yeah. And it's really around this tracking tool. It's around the crowd GPS, which is essentially being implemented right now by Apple and Google. And it really all started just from the itch of innovation is very important in the US. And this is what patents do. They protect innovators so that otherwise you're not compelled to innovate, right? Because you can innovate and someone can copy and do it, and et cetera. And why should I innovate? Okay, it's exciting, it's fun, it's good to add value in this world. But this is what IP is for, is to help protect innovators. And I started at Boeing when I also helped innovate several. And in fact, I filed a couple of patents through Boeing. One of them is to use cellular communication for drones to communicate over that same transmission medium, point to point, as opposed to going down to ground base. point to point until one point. At some point, it does go to ground so that communication can flow to the network. So that was implemented because of the small form factor, because cell phones obviously are very small. They're tiny. They don't consume as much energy as these large modems that typically military systems use. So that's how it kind of got me into the itch. Obviously, I worked with a patent attorney, and ever since then, we've been filing patents.
No, man, I love it. I actually really like the name because, well, at least I understand the Pebble circumstance because it's small, right? Like this is my assumption. But what was that meeting like coming up with a name? Because yeah, it looks great, man. It, honestly, it looks like it belongs on the keychain and wherever else you want it, right? Was that an interesting meeting? Did you come to that with a whole team, or did you already decide what the name of the product was going to be?
It's it's a combination of family and a dog.
Nice.
My dog's name is Hannah B, or it was Hannah B. She lived to be 17, passed away last year, but I know Hannah B. And I would test it on my dog. I would always attach it to my dog to test, every day. And we were at the beach, and my kids would call the little device the Pebblebee because we were on the beach and it looked like a pebble, and they would call it the Pebblebee. And then I came home one day and I talked to Nick, which was my co-founder, and I said, "Hey, what do you think of Pebblebee?" This, my kids call it the Pebblebee. We looked it up. Pebblebee.com was available. We're like, it's very unique.
Yes.
It's catchy. It's fun. It's got that flair, and so we were like, let's go.
No, I love it. Those are the best stories. It was very organic. And of course, you got to make sure the URL is available.
Yes, exactly. So that was classic. The first thing. Go, daddy. Let's go.
Yeah. So what's distribution like? Can a consumer go and pick this up at a store now, or what is this looking like? Is this your current objective? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, online, Amazon, etc. But we are going to be in Costco, all of Costco US, in stores and online.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks from now. So we'll be available, and this would be a very unique, exclusive product because it's our V2 version of the product. So it has longer battery life, lighter weight, and it's for now. It's obviously only for Apple Find My because Google hasn't launched yet, and it's a 3-pack. It's 2 clips and 1 card, and it's a good member price. So keep it at that.
No, hey, look, I'm all about it because I've been considering getting one. I've got a couple of dogs myself. So to know that the name originates with the story of a dog, Hannah B, R.I.P. Hannah B. No,
there you go.
For me, that hits close to home, man. And I know that many people have pets that they want to know where they're at and want to know if they're safe. And a product like this is perfect for it. What's it been looking like running a company like this? Because, your background, you're very technical in that aspect, but then there's this visionary aspect of this product, right? And then running a team, working with a team. What has that been like for you? Like stepping into that role and becoming that person? Is it just like being a family man? Is it no different?
It sort of is, because it depends on everyone's situation is a little bit different. But in my case, I didn't have a mentor, when I started Pebblebee, and I had to explore things on my own. And it's like, when you have your first child, being a parent, it's not like you can go through a class of actually being a parent and then being like, oh, let me restart. It's not like playing a game, right? Yeah. You just have this one chance, and you just better do well, and so entrepreneurship is really, it's marked by many uncertainties and frequent failures on a daily basis. It's kind of like a never-ending roller coaster, right? And you never know what you're going to expect on the next drop. It's exciting, but it's also very tiring, and it's scary. But some get hooked, and some just aren't equipped to get through the emotional drain. I didn't think I was equipped, but I've somehow got through it, right? And it's very, very difficult. I think the one thing that sticks out is perseverance and determination that basically allow a founder to traverse through all of these difficult obstacles. And it's essentially an obstacle course, right? And you learn as you go through that obstacle course, and you make sure you don't make the same mistakes, and you strive to stand tall despite the constant inevitable setbacks and rejections that you get on a daily basis. So yeah.
Yeah, as I try to put myself in the shoes of what it would look like to try to get this as a digital marketer, I'm constantly like eventually leading that way in the conversation. And I'm thinking to myself, how would I bring this to market? That couldn't have been an easy thing because there are products that people already know, but your value prop is way better. Now, trying to get the average day consumer to understand how this value prop is better, you have to do it so good that they don't even know it's a thing, right? So what was that? What was that like? Was that where the bulk of your work was to make sure that people understood you were an innovative product and that you were different in the market? Or what did that look like for you?
Yeah, definitely, it was different in the early days as opposed to the last couple of days when Apple released the AirDrop, the AirTag. It was definitely an eye opener for a lot of people where now it became a thing, right? Before that, people just didn't get it. Even though there was other competitors out there, they still didn't really understand the concept. And then when AirTag came out, now everyone knew. They understood and they got it. So that made our job a lot easier in terms of marketing. But really, it's about, I think Steve Jobs said that before, the Japanese don't boast how good of a quality their product is. They just have a good product, right? And this was at least back in the 80s. And their product just withstood the time, the test of time. And so what happens is essentially what we're trying to do is hopefully deliver the best user experience. And that is very difficult, especially when you have a small consumer electronics product, usually large quantities. And then also the pricing isn't that high, right? It's a $29.99 price point.
Really?
And so you have to provide that best user experience. And then usually you don't want to use this product until you actually misplace something. So it's almost like an insurance policy, right? And when you do, it better work, right? So it's a tough market to be in. And what we strive to do is have best user experience. And that really comes along with best quality, great quality, et cetera. And so that's kind of our angle. It's a very difficult market. It's a very difficult product to deliver best user experience, but that's what we strive to do. And with time, we've started penetrating and becoming a well-known brand, even, partnering with Apple and Google. I mean, Google and Apple don't partner with any brand, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely something to say that we've partnered with these giants, and I think because of that, that says something about our brand, and quality.
Absolutely. Any company that gets looked at and chosen to be a partner in any capacity with Apple and Google is definitely doing something interesting, something different for the sake of Apple's terminology, right? So for me, that's exciting and congratulations.
Thank you.
Had no idea what spot I was putting you in when I said what I said earlier in the conversation. And I was like, profits. But yeah, no, you're right. 100%. And being a ragtag team and the price point's amazing. Is there like a subscription on the software as well? Or are you just going based off that? Am I asking questions I can't ask?
Yeah, absolutely. We have several products. In fact, we have the Bluetooth type products, the close range with the crowd GPS enabled products. Those don't have a subscription.
Okay.
You purchase the product and it just works without a subscription. And then we do have another product that is an LTE product. It's called the Found, and it's essentially Bluetooth, but it's not piggyback on those networks, the Apple or Google networks. It's actually independent. It's on LTE. It's a cellular product, and that does have a subscription. It's great for pets. It's great for a golf cart or maybe your golf bag, something that you don't want to depend on the network of Apple or Google. You just want it to be independent, then LTE works really well in that scenario. And so that's the only product that we have with LTE subscription.
No, I think it's great. That's just an extra insurance right there is what that is, for people who are looking for that. I think that's great.
Exactly.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Have you, I have to ask, because I'm just so curious about the product and the things that you've been doing with it. Have you
Yeah.
developed partnerships with people for like long-term case studies of like how it's been going? Or is that just independent research that you're doing internally? Or what does that look like? Because I imagine those stories would be, here is, and I don't know if you've done this, right? But here is, let's say, dog walker XYZ, and they've been using this in their dog walking business for 10 years and what it's done for the safety of their customers. Well, you see what I'm saying? Like those stories are already playing out in my head. Have you considered any of those options yet?
Absolutely. We've had several surveys. Of course, we hear from customers quite a bit. And the thing about this is that typically, unless it's groundbreaking, exciting, the fact that you saved my life type of thing, you don't typically hear about it as much, right? Because when people are happy, they're just happy. They don't want to take time away from their busy lives to report it. But we have had several instances where we've saved, for example, one time there was a dog that had one of the clips on them. And apparently they got stuck under a log in the woods. And they couldn't find them and they couldn't hear them because you could buzz the device, but they were stuck under the log. And apparently they spent half an hour just because they can see that as they get into range, they're connected. So they knew they were close by and they kept on getting closer and closer. And then they can hear the buzz, ever so slightly. And then they found the dog, and the dog, apparently a tree, it was a dead tree that had fallen on the dog. Goodness. And the dog was unconscious. But they found the dog and they removed the log and they saved the dog's life. I mean, can you imagine if they couldn't find him? So that, I thought that was amazing. Yeah. Another time, this was a customer that was using the LTE product, and it was a tortoise. And so the customer was just very frustrated, couldn't find it. It was through support, and I thought, let me find their number and let me contact them myself because I want to. This is important. This is a life that we're dealing with. Yeah. And so we're on the phone and we're like, okay, can you walk her through the app, et cetera? And I can tell that at least the device was right where she was standing, nearby, at least within 100 feet. That's how GPS works. So you don't know exactly where, but it's within 100 feet. And she kept on walking and walking. She's like, nope, I don't see, my tortoise here. And I'm buzzing it. And I'm like, it's weird because it's buzzing. I know it's buzzing, because you're telling me it's saying it's buzzing, but you can't hear it. That's interesting. What's in front of you? There's a barrel. Okay. Is the barrel upside down? Yes. Oh, okay. Can you remove the barrel? She removes the barrel and she finds her tortoise that dug in, tried to dig herself out of the barrel. And she was dug in so deep that you couldn't hear the buzzer because it was in the ground. But she found it. And when she found it, she literally hung up on me. And I'm like, what just happened? And then she calls me back 10 minutes later, like so happy and proud. And thank you so much. You saved, her life. And I was just, and tortoises, I don't know. Did they come back to you when you yelled? I don't know.
I don't think they do.
So this was a scenario where, this is the second time. The first time the tortoise was somewhere under the bed and they couldn't find it. And then, that helped them find it. But anyway.
When you tell me this, I already see the possibilities with even like farmland that has a lot of farm animals and things like that's such a big market already. Yeah. Just in general for tracking purposes and things of that nature. Yep. There's just so much utility. There's so much utility to what you've developed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They do that with LoRa, man. That's another technology that's long range, but low power. Absolutely, there are technologies out there for that, but you know what? You never know. We might play a role in that as well.
I think it's worth looking into. As we begin to scale. Absolutely,
big business.
Yeah. Sure. That's definitely more of the after the chasm has been crossed. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, man, it's been an absolute pleasure getting a chance to chat with you for real. And I want to roll out the red carpet for you, Daniel. Like, what do you want the listener to do now that they've heard the stories, the heartwarming, gut wrenching, and even interesting ones like family bonding moments on the volcano, and you're still safe, knowing where your stuff is at. Where do you want them to go? Do you want them to go to a website? Do you want them to check out your social media? What's the call to action?
Sure. I guess, it's just the normal LinkedIn, Facebook, et cetera, platforms. We're on all of them, and Instagram as well. You could also connect with me on LinkedIn for any business discussions if you are interested in this vertical, or even starting your own business, etc. Or any questions on Pebblebee. So look me up. I'm Daniel Daoura. I'm the only person with that last name and first name on LinkedIn. And then, of course, you can find us on pebblebee.com. That's where all of our products are. And just stay tuned. Once Google Find My Device is launched, we'll start shipping our latest products. And like I said earlier, we're the only made for Google product. So we're going through certification now, and we'll be able to launch hopefully as soon as Find My Device launches in the next few months.
I think that's going to be great. And that's definitely going to make way more sales for the Pixel than it already does. I mean, that's a whole different story, right? Yeah, but
well, it's $29.99 as opposed to $700-$800 or $1,000.
Which I think is amazing, man. And to know that that's going to be at Costco as well. Everybody's got Costco if you've got a family. And if you've got a family, you definitely need one of these devices, just at least one on any number of reasons I can think of. Daniel, it's been an absolute pleasure, brother. Thank you for stopping by.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate it. You have a wonderful day.